Hey everyone, thanks for joining. Today I am speaking with Shaparak Shajari Zadeh. Shaparak is a women's rights activist. She's the co-author of Liberté n'est pas un crime. And Shaparak was also arrested in Iran. She was sentenced to prison and she managed to get out and now she's living in Canada. And I wanted to have Shaparak on today to speak about her thoughts about what's going on in Iran, and maybe we can talk about how this time it looks and feels different than protests that have happened in the past few years. Hi, Shaparak. Thank you for coming on.
Hello, Obaid. Thank you so much for covering the story and the news from Iran. I appreciate it.
No, of course. I think it's one of the bigger things that's going on right now. If you wouldn't mind just talking about how these protests started, and then we can talk about how they're going and how they're building up.
Yes, it started with the news of arresting a young woman in Iran in the capital, and her brother was worried about her well-being and of how they arrested and how they arrested her and what happened after that. It was the news was after 2 hours of Gina Mahsa being captured in Vozara detention center in the capital. There were some news coming out of the building of a young woman passing out, and he was worried. He tried to go inside the building, also with other men who were waiting for their relatives, who were waiting for the women inside, because when they arrest a woman, they won't let anybody else to enter the building, even their lawyer. For example, in my case, I already had a lawyer, but they didn't let my lawyer or my family member to come inside the building. And they don't tell you any news, anything. And so the men tried to enter the building, but with the gas, with the tear gas and violence, they stopped the men. Then he heard that the girls, the women came out of the building, shouting and crying, saying a young woman died in there. And he started showing her sister's picture to the other women. If is it this girl? Is it my sister? And they said yes. So they rushed to the hospital after they took Gina to the hospital. I'm sorry, Mahsa Amini, like many other Iranians, have 2 names, and her name is Mahsa on her in her birth certificate, but her family members used to call her Gina. Gina is a Kurdish name, means life. And this is the people right now are chanting in the streets, Jen Jian Azadi. It means woman, life. Jen Jina Azadi, woman, life, freedom, liberty. And her name means also life, but like they're not. They don't let many names. They don't allow many Kurdish names as well. So um, her name was Mahsa in birth certificate. That's why I'm calling her Gina, because this is what she was called her whole life, Gina, with her Kurdish name. And the news started in that moment. And when I saw the news, for me personally, it was very traumatizing. I started crying because it was the same detention center that I got beaten up in. It was the same building that I was interrogated. And when I got arrested, they also took me to the same building, and during the interrogation, they treated me very badly. It was so frightening because they try everything they do everything. They would do everything to break you, to scare you. They humiliate you. They slut shame you, calling you names, and like accuse you of like some sexual, like with sexual accusations. That's very bad. And I knew if you talk back, or you tell them you cannot talk to me like that, they easily get physical. And that's what happened to me when I got arrested in 2018. When they treat you badly and you talk back, they beat you up. And from the moment I saw the news, I knew what had happened to Mahsa. And eventually we heard the news of her death in the hospital. But like always, the Iranian regime tried to cover the truth by lying about it. Remember, they in 2020 they killed 176 Iranian Canadian passengers.
Yeah, it was a flight to Ukraine.
Yeah, Ukrainian flight 752, and they tried to deceive the words by saying it was there was no attack. It was just a problem in the plane, and that's the reality. That's the nature of this regime. So we knew that it's not true, and and personally, I know what's happening in that building. So they killed Mahsa, and also she's from and that the news was very shocking and devastating. But to tell you the truth, she's not the first woman who got killed after arrest by the morality police. It happened before, but this time, because of the social media, because of everything, and also she's Kurd. She's from one of the ethnics, one of the ethnics in Iran, which have been suppressed for decades. The Kurd people have been suppressed for decades in Iran. And so that's why I guess that was the trigger for the demonstration in Iran, killing an innocent woman over compulsory hijab law. And you know, the morality police officers and like the leaders followers has been more violent recently, because more and more women right now inside Iran are refusing to wear hijab in the streets, and Every day we have videos, footages of women refuse to wear hijab. So the morality police officers are more violent against women. And because of
I just wanted to
this,
ask one question here. Like from everything I've heard, it wasn't that she wasn't wearing a hijab; it was that her hijab was on too loosely and her hair was showing. Right? It was like that's my understanding. It wasn't that like she was wearing a hijab, but it was just not on correctly.
actually, the document of the police came out, and it says her coat, the long coat. We have to wear long coat, which a long uniform, like a uniform, and it has to be button up. Okay, but through years and years, Iranian women brought fashion to the to this kind of hijab, and most of our coats doesn't have buttons. Okay, so in the documentary it says her coat, which we call it manto. um, her coat doesn't have buttons, and also she was wearing a tight, like she was wearing tight pants. That's they say, because it's not just your hair, it's not just covering the hair, it's the way you dress, like wearing high heel shoes, wearing high heel boots, having nail polish, having makeup, like wearing colorful dresses, short uniforms, or uniforms without buttons. They are all listed as violation of hijab code, violation of dress code in Iran. It's not. They arrest people for women for wearing long boots. They arrest women for wearing high heel shoes. That could be different reasons. At first, it says like a bit of hair was showing, but in the document, it shows that because her manto, her coat, didn't have any buttons, they arrested her.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's just because I wanted to clarify that because it's not just wearing the hijab. It's, you have to be wearing it properly, and it's the whole mindset behind it.
Yeah.
So like the protests that are going on now, because I remember in 2015 there was that young woman who stood up on the electrical box and then she got arrested, and then that was I think in like November, December of 2015. And protests started then.
2000, actually it was December 2017.
17. Okay, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's December 2017. Yeah.
And then I mean, you also had things going on like White Wednesdays and my camera is my weapon. So these things, like this has been kind of building. So when you're talking about more and more women were walking around outside without the hijab,
it's right now it's like a volcano of anger, because the campaign against Iranian women have been fighting for the right to their body for many years, as long as the existence of the Islamic Republic. From the beginning, women were fighting for their rights, but the campaign against forced hijab heated up in 2015 with My Stilty Freedom. Masih launched a campaign on Facebook named My Stilty Freedom. Iranian women started sending their picture with and without hijab to Masih, to show that this is me, not that one. This is something that the government want me to be and force me to wear in public. I am this woman. I don't believe in hijab, and I'm not wearing hijab. And after that, in 2017, White Wednesday campaign started, and we started going out in public uh, in white, wearing white scarf, wearing white on Wednesday, and to show that we are protesting against compulsory hijab. And it's not just covering our body and our hair and our hair. It's to protest against the systematic violence um, on women, against women by the government, like being harassed in the streets everywhere and every day. It was like a campaign against this violence because of forced hijab. So, but eventually the campaign changed in Iran, and we started not wearing hijab. I wasn't wearing hijab for months back then. Nobody could force me to wear hijab. Whenever I used to go, I would tell them, "I'm sorry, I don't wear hijab. I don't wear a scarf." As simple as that. And and after that, in December, a woman named Vida Mowahed went on a utility box in the center of the city, and like she had her scarf on a stick and stood there for half an hour without saying a word. And it was the symbol of our protest, but a peaceful protest against compulsory hijab. So other women, including me, started doing that and following her path, going somewhere and unveil unveil and having our scarf on a stick. But they started arresting women. They sent lots of us to jail. They tried to threaten the families, and the campaign changed to my camera, my weapon. And so with the help of social media, whenever someone want to bother you in the streets, or they want to arrest you, we started filming them and showing the world the violence against women in Iran. So so far the women have been doing it to show the resistance to obey compulsory hijab. Just last month, two women got harassed by another woman, by a religious woman in a bus, and the woman who harassed them actually bite these women, and they took a video of her, but instead and it got viral, the brutality of that woman. And in less than 24 hours, the government arrested two girls and forced one of them to apologize, and the other one who sent the video online, they interrogated her for days. Nobody knew where she was, and after some days, actually they put her in front of the national television with bruises on her face, reading forced confession. And people started camping for that woman as well. Her name was Sepide Rashno. So the murder of Mahsa, it was like the whole thing, like a few weeks ago, we were campaigning for Sepide because she was beaten up and forced to have confession in front of TV. That wasn't acceptable. So the whole impact of violence against women just because of hijab triggered this demonstration. And the Iranian people also hate this government. They have been suppressing people for years. So the demonstration started like this.
So yeah, that's one thing I wanted to talk about, because this time around, they're going out and attacking the police force and the regime forces. I mean, I've seen reports where they burnt a governor's office, I think, or his house, or they lit fire to a police station. They're actually physically going out, and they're saying, again, repeating things like "death to the dictator," and they're talking about complete and utter regime change. And I mean, there's so much, like, I think one report I saw, there was 130 cities and 30 of 31 provinces. There was protests going on almost every day. Now it's 8 or 9 days. So do you get a sense that this is different than some of the protests that have happened in the last 5-10 years?
Yes, actually, my friends or the people I know from Iran, from the day one, they told me this is different. This is even different from 2019, when the government killed 1,500 people in the streets in 3 days. They killed many people just 3 years ago, less than 3 years ago. But my friend told me this is different, Shaparak. This is the whole another level. We have a big demonstration back in 2009, Green Movement, but it was just in some big cities. And then in 2019, we had demonstrations in 100 cities around the country as I told you, when they killed many people. But this one, they told me this is different. This is big cities with the small cities. This is students are again, the students movement has waken up. The students are chanting in their universities, and in some part of the capital that we have never seen any demonstration before. For example, north of Tehran is the region that wealthy people live, and we don't usually have anything there. But now, the streets are on fire in north of Tehran, in the center of Tehran, in south of Tehran, everywhere. And also in many small cities that I haven't heard the name of those towns in my whole life. But you can see that people are in the streets for days. Yeah, this is because, as I told you, Iranian people hate this government, and they really want to change the government. And and I hope this is we can they succeed. But I'm sure if people can't change the government right now, this is going to be the start. This is going to be the start of the downfall of the government. This is it. And the other thing is, Gina Mahsa is Kurd. And as I told you, Kurdish people have been suppressed for decades. So, for example, do you know that we have many Kurdish prisoners, political prisoners, and they easily get like execution sentence. But we have one female political prisoner who has the longest prison sentence in the whole world, Zainab Jalalian. And they have been suppressing courts, they have been suppressing women, they have been violent against women for 43 years. And so like the irony is the blood of a Kurdish girl is the torch of liberty for Iran. I believe it.
Yeah, can I? Okay, something about that. Like, so whatever, 43 years ago, it was the Islamic Revolution, and at that time too, it was there's a large percentage of that were students, and
Yes,
it's not a defense of the Shah or anything like that, because while you had certain freedoms under the Shah, it was still an oppressive regime, and they were fighting out against that. And then the Ayatollahs came in. Do you think this time around, if this does happen to succeed to bring down the regime, if not immediately in the next few years, if it happens, like something Masih Alinejad had said, like you don't want the West coming in and imposing democracy. You just want them to stop supporting the regime so that the people themselves can put in the system they want. So do you think this time around, like they saw the oppression under the Shah, now they've had 43 years of oppression underneath the Ayatollahs. Do you think that this is also, I agree with you about the oppression of women. Like but are they also saying, okay, we don't want any more Islamic regime, or are they looking for like a reform of Islamic regime?
Like I don't think people because once people some people believed in reform, but not anymore, because the reformist party in Islamic regime deceived people for many years, and as based on their law, based on their ideology, there is no reform, because the law is our law is based on Sharia law, and based on Sharia law, women can have the same rights than men as men, and we're not equal as men. We cannot have reform as long as they have the Islamic ideology. This is not happening, and people know that. And as you see in the streets, they have been chanting against both parties. They said no reform, and no to fundamentalists, and no to reformists. And they were actually in 2017, there was another demonstration in some cities, in many cities actually, and they started chanting reformist, fundamentalist. This is it. This is the end. We're done with you. And I don't. People want change, and they really want democracy. They really believe in having a secular government, and free from any ideology, especially Islamic ideology. That's what people want. And also the different parties, different opponent parties, the opposition groups, they all have the same, from the monarchists to the Republicans, to the communists, and lefty parties. They all have the same goals: having democracy, having a secular government, and all based on human rights. That's what like Iranian people want. But at the same time, this is like I don't know what's going to happen after this regime, but I'm sure the violence against women will be ended. I know that we have to fight to share to share the to have a position in politics in Iran. I know that Iranian women have to fight more, and they have a long way to be involved in politics, like some European countries. But at the same time, the end of this regime would be the end of two things. One, violence against women, and second one, ideology, like the Islamist ideology.
Yeah. Okay. So kind of sticking with this because I mean we talked about this before, how a lot of people in the West, the World Hijab Day and things like that. The hijab is empowerment. When you speak out against the hijab, it's Islamophobia. All this stuff. Now all of a sudden, all these same people are saying, we stand with the women of Iran, but they don't actually mention, like they kind of limit it just to the morality police. And, I find it a little bit fake coming from these people. And so, what do you see about the reaction in the West this time around as opposed to other times? Because I mean, I'll take an example of like Christiana Amanpour. She refused to meet with the president because she had to wear a hijab and it was in New York. But she met with the heads of the Taliban and she put on the hijab. So, what do you think about all that kind of stuff going on now in the West when it's coming to Iran like this time?
Actually, I really, first of all, I really appreciate any support. We, like Iranian women, need more and more support. But at the same time, I see them as hypocrites because, first of all, like these women, like the female politicians and also the female journalists, most of the time they claim that they believe in women's rights, they believe in human rights. They always says that they have been fighting their whole life to have power. In a patriotic word, they have been sacrificing a lot. For example, in the industry of journalism or in politicians, but at the same time, whenever they meet like one of these criminals, it doesn't matter if it's the Iranian officials, the regime's officials, or Taliban. They are first of all, they are criminals, and second of all, they are suppressing. They are the people who are suppressing women, and these women, for example, put away their beliefs, and just to get to meet these criminals, they obey their rules. And this is not just wearing a piece of cloth on your head. It's that scarf is the symbol of suppression in those countries. It's not a way, it's not a choice of wearing hijab. This is suppression. This is the symbol of discrimination, and you're wearing it in front of these criminals. This is hypocrisy. For example, female politicians who are not wearing hijab in their life, hijab is not their choice. They don't believe, for example, they're not Muslim, they don't believe in Islam, and they're not wearing hijab. But why would you do that? Why would you obey another man who's been suppressing women for years, why that man can tell you what to wear and what not to wear in that moment. This is not right, because you're actually you're biased in this matter, and you're standing beside those criminals, not the women who have been tortured, beaten up, or detained for protesting hijab, or for having improper hijab. It doesn't matter if it's Taliban's leaders or Iran's. And at the same time, journalists claim that they are criticizing those politicians, but also the female journalists do the same. Why wouldn't the news agency send a man to have a interview with them? Why a woman? Why would you send a female reporter to have an interview with this man and forced her to wear hijab? This is not right, because this is the symbol. This is the symbol of repression of women in those countries.
Yeah, I mean, I can't add anything more to that. It's, that's exactly my sentiment on this. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask you is, like, okay, I agree with what Masi had said. Like, they don't want the West to come in and impose democracy. But what would you like to see from Western politicians, Western leaders, like the media? What would you like to see them, like, what kind of support can they give the people?
First of all, I want the people around the world to spread the word, to support Iranian people inside Iran, and force the politicians, force their politicians to do something. And for the governments, because they claim to care about human rights around the world. We are all brothers and sisters in the world. Stop negotiating with these governments. Stop negotiating with Iranian officials. They are deceitful, and they have been proven that many times to you, that they are deceitful. Stop negotiating with them. Right now, Iranian people need your support. So call your ambassadors, and stop kick out the Iranian regime's ambassadors from your country. Do what you did to the apartheid regime of South Africa. Do the same, because this is a gender apartheid country, and once for all, deal with this country. And if you deal with Iran, you're gonna have, with this regime, you're gonna have much less problem in the region, in Middle East, because this is the Islamic regime of Iran is feeding those terrorist groups in Middle East. This regime is feeding militia groups in other countries as well. So if you support Iranian people to overthrow this government and change the government, there is, we are sure, we promise you, there's not gonna be any war in Middle East. There's not gonna be any bloodshed in Middle East if you deal with this government. But I don't know why they try to deal with this deceitful government.
Yeah, it's, I don't even want to get into that, but yeah, like I understand everything you're saying. Just like my only thing with that is, I know they shouldn't trust this government. They shouldn't deal with this government. They shouldn't, they shouldn't believe anything they say. But at the same time, do you think that if they don't have some sort of diplomatic relations, it would make things harder for the people? Like, I'm not saying that this regime is good on the people, but if they can't apply diplomatic pressure, then they don't really have much left to help the people out. But I'm just curious about that.
Uh, like there are many theories, but like if they don't support the government, that would be the end of the government. This is what we believe in, yeah. But that's it. That would be the end. What happened to the to South African government? That would be the end. And if they actually, they're so naive to think with the diplomatic negotiation they could do something. They're so naive. With this government, they're so naive. Have they been successful?
Yeah, no, they haven't. And I mean, like I said, I was just trying to
with have they with diplomacy, with diplomatic like relations, have they been successful over the past past 2 decades over nuclear deal? Have they been successful? No.
Yeah, no. Like I said, I was just kind of playing a little bit of devil's advocate.
Yeah. This is my, and actually this is my point of view. Other people may have different ideas, but this is my point of view.
Anyway, I know you've been following this a lot, and you're up all the time. So I don't want to keep you too much longer. You're probably exhausted. I just want to, if you have any last words, if if there's any aid organizations, or if there's anything you want to tell other people, people what they can do, just please go ahead.
Please, first of all, I want everybody to spread the words and support us in your countries. And there has been a petition going on for days. And if I know, because you retweeted my post, if you can help me spread the petition and ask people to sign the petition, that would be great, for the death of Mahsa, and also supporting Iranian people, Iranian protesters, and at the same time ask your female politicians and your female reporters to stop wearing hijab while meeting with these guys. If they are strong women and they found their way in the world to be politicians, to be famous journalists, they should stand by their beliefs, and don't let any man to do what to wear. This is not acceptable. These strong women should say, no, I'm not wearing anything to meet with you. And to be honest, it's very painful for me and other Iranian women inside Iran to see these criminals, the Iranian officials or Taliban's. It's painful to see they could force another woman in the world to do what they want. This is painful.
Well, thank you for that, Shaparak. Thank you very much for coming on, talking about this. Like I said, I know you're tired and busy. And I'll put the links to the petition and all that in the description so that people can find that. Again, thank you very much for coming on. It was great talking to you again.
Thank you, Obaid. Like always, I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. I'm grateful.
Thanks. And thanks everyone for listening.